What if I told you that a 2-cent coin, literally worth nothing today because it's no longer even in circulation, could be hiding a secret that makes it worth thousands of dollars? Right now, somewhere in the world, there's a 1,984 South African 2-cent coin graded MS-68 or higher that represents one of the most elusive prizes in African numismatics. Collectors are willing to pay absolutely insane amounts for perfect examples, because achieving gem-quality preservation on a bronze circulation coin from 1984 is nearly impossible. But here's the secret that will shock you. The 1,984 2 cents has a unique characteristic that makes it instantly identifiable and historically significant. It's the only year in the entire series without engraver initials on the obverse. While millions were minted, finding one without scratches, spots, corrosion, or wear is like finding a needle in a haystack the size of an entire country. And if you discover an error variety with excess metal on the horns or hooves, doubled dies, or off-center strikes, you're looking at a coin that could sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the severity and eye appeal of the error. The year 1984 was a powder keg moment in South African history, and every coin from this period carries the weight of that turmoil. The apartheid regime was under siege from multiple directions. International sanctions were tightening, strangling the economy and isolating the white minority government. Internal resistance was intensifying with protests, strikes, and armed struggle organized by the African National Congress and other liberation movements. The townships were erupting in violence as police and military forces brutally suppressed dissent. President P.W. Botha's government was attempting cosmetic reforms while maintaining the essential structure of racial oppression, fooling nobody and satisfying neither the international community nor the oppressed majority. Every 2-cent coin minted in 1984 circulated through this chaos, passing between hands separated by the artificial barriers of race and privilege that the regime desperately tried to maintain. The 1,984 2-cent coin itself tells a fascinating technical story that distinguishes it from every other year in the series. Made of bronze, an alloy of copper, tin, and zinc, these coins were designed to be the workhorses of small change, handling countless transactions in shops, markets, buses, and informal settlements across South Africa. The composition made them durable enough to survive years of circulation, but also made them susceptible to environmental damage, corrosion, and toning that destroys the pristine surfaces collectors prize. The obverse featured the South African coat of arms as it existed from 1910, displaying 2 Springbok supporters, flanking a shield with provincial emblems and topped with a crouching lion. The motto Ex Unitate Vires, meaning strength from unity, appeared below, a bitter irony given that the regime's entire existence depended on enforcing division and inequality. Here's what makes 1,984 absolutely unique and critically important to collectors. 1,984 was the only year with no engraver initials below the coat of arms. As designer, Arthur Sutherland took over from Tommy Sassine. Previous years from 1,970 to 1,983 displayed the initials T.S. for Tommy Sassine, positioned below the right side of the coat of arms base. Later years from 1,985 to 1,987 would show A.L.S. for Arthur Lewis Sutherland below the left side. But 1,984 stands alone, with no initials whatsoever, making it instantly identifiable and creating a distinct variety that completist collectors must acquire. This absence wasn't an oversight, but reflected the transition between designers and possibly uncertainty about attribution during that specific production year. For variety hunters and date collectors, the 1,984 becomes essential rather than just another common date. The reverse of the coin showcased one of Africa's most iconic animals, the black wildebeest, also known as the gnu. This distinctive antelope with its characteristic bucking pose appeared on South African 2-cent coins from 1965 through 1990. The artist, J. van der Zelgen, captured the animal's wild energy and muscular power in remarkable detail for such a small coin. The wildebeest appears mid-leap with its distinctive horns, beard, and muscular body clearly rendered. Below the animal, the denomination 2C appeared with the sculptor's initials JVZ positioned nearby. The legend wrapped around the edge in both official languages, reading South Africa and Suid-Afrika, separated by decorative elements. This bilingual approach acknowledged the English and Afrikaans-speaking white minorities while completely ignoring the languages spoken by the vast majority of South Africans, a linguistic apartheid that the coins unwittingly documented for future historians. Now let's discuss the varieties and characteristics that separate common examples from valuable specimens. Two distinct die types existed for the reverse. Die A with a long slope on the mountain to the left of the wildebeest's front leg, and Die B with an outlined short slope. For coins, from 1965 through 1981, all examples used Die A, starting in 1982 and continuing through 1990, including our 1984 specimens. Die B was used exclusively. This means all 1984 2-cent coins should display the Die B characteristics with the outlined, short-sloped mountain. Collectors hunt for the rare exceptions, the error coins that might show characteristics inconsistent with the expected die pairing. Though such examples are exceptionally rare and would command significant premiums if authenticated. Error coins represent the holy grail for 1984 2-cent collectors because they transform common circulation strikes into genuine rarities. Reports exist of 1,984 specimens, showing excess metal on the wildebeest's horns and front hooves, creating a bulky, exaggerated appearance that's immediately noticeable. These errors occur when dies develop cracks or when metal flow during striking doesn't proceed normally, creating raised blobs or extensions on the design elements. Other error types to hunt for include off-center strikes, where the design is positioned incorrectly on the planchet, leaving a crescent of blank metal visible. Double die errors show shadowing or multiplication of design elements, particularly noticeable on the lettering or the wildebeest's details. Wrong planchet errors, where a 2-cent design was struck on a blank intended for a different denomination, create spectacular anomalies. Clashed dies can transfer ghostly images from the opposite side of the coin. Any of these errors, if dramatic enough and properly authenticated, could be worth $50 to several $100 or more to error coin specialists. But the real money in 1984 2-cent coins comes from achieving the highest possible grades in uncirculated condition. Remember, these were circulation coins made of bronze that oxidizes, tarnishes, and corrodes easily. They were handled by thousands of people, dropped on sidewalks, thrown into cash registers, stored in damp conditions, and subjected to every form of environmental damage imaginable. The vast majority of surviving examples show heavy wear, dark toning, spots, scratches, and corrosion. Finding an example that was pulled from circulation immediately after minting, stored properly, and maintained in pristine condition for 40 years is extraordinarily difficult. On the Sheldon grading scale from MS60 to MS70, most uncirculated 1,984. 2-cent coins that survived grade somewhere between MS60 and MS63, showing various minor imperfections, lackluster surfaces, or contact marks from storage. As you climb the grading ladder toward perfection, the population drops exponentially, and values rise accordingly. An MS64 specimen might be worth $5 to $10, still relatively affordable for collectors. MS-65 examples with good luster and minimal marks might command $20 to $50 depending on market conditions and eye appeal. MS-66 coins, showing exceptional surfaces and strike quality, could be worth $100 or more. MS-67 examples enter genuinely rare territory where serious collectors compete, potentially worth several $100s. An MS-68 specimen, if it even exists for the 1984 date, would be museum-quality perfection, worth potentially $1,000 or more. And an MS-69 or the theoretical perfect MS-70? Such a coin would be unique, the finest known example in existence, worth whatever the most motivated collector was willing to pay, potentially thousands of dollars for a coin with a face value of 2 cents. Proof coins add another dimension to the 1984 2-cent story. The South African Mint produced proof sets for collectors starting in the 1922 and continuing through the apartheid era and beyond. Proof coins are struck using specially polished dies and planchets with multiple strikes to create sharp details and mirror-like fields. They were never intended for circulation, but were sold directly to collectors in protective packaging. A 1984 2-cent proof would show frosted design elements standing out against brilliant mirror-like backgrounds, creating a cameo effect that's aesthetically stunning. Proof coins are graded on the same numerical scale but with the PF prefix instead of MS. Common proof grades of PF65 to PF67 might be worth $20 to $100 depending on the overall population and market demand. Higher grades of PF68 or the perfect PF69 and PF70 would be worth substantially more, potentially hundreds of dollars for the finest examples. The historical context of 1984 adds layers of significance that transcend numismatics. This was the year that Bishop Desmond Tutu won the Nobel Peace Prize for his nonviolent opposition to apartheid, bringing international attention to South Africa's crisis. This was when the Vaal uprising began, a series of protests and violent clashes that marked a turning point in the struggle against apartheid. This was when the tricameral parliament was established, a cynical attempt at reform that gave limited representation to colored and Indian South Africans while continuing to exclude the African majority entirely. The coins circulating through this turmoil bore the symbols of the regime, the coat of arms representing colonial provinces and Afrikaner nationalism. But they passed through hands on all sides of the conflict, becoming inadvertent witnesses to history. For modern collectors, particularly those interested in African history and the apartheid era, these coins represent tangible connections to a crucial historical period. They're not just metal discs with designs. They're artifacts that survived a time of tremendous upheaval and transformation. Owning a 1984 2-cent coin means holding something that might have been used by activists organizing resistance, by police enforcing unjust laws, by children buying sweets in township shops, by international journalists documenting the conflict, or by ordinary people simply trying to survive extraordinary circumstances. The stories these coins could tell, if they could speak, would fill libraries. The fact that they can't makes them even more poignant and valuable as historical documents. The investment potential in 1984 2-cent coins varies dramatically based on grade and variety. Common circulated examples have essentially zero numismatic value, worth perhaps a few cents to a collector filling a date hole, but nothing approaching investment potential. Uncirculated examples in the MS-60 to MS-63 range represent affordable collectibles that might appreciate modestly as South African numismatics gains international recognition. The real investment opportunities lie in the MS-65 and higher grades, where rarity combines with aesthetic appeal to create sustainable demand. High-grade examples appeal to registry set collectors who compete to assemble the finest possible collections of South African coins, driving prices upward as they compete for the limited population of top-quality specimens. Error varieties with dramatic visual appeal also represent solid investments because they're genuinely rare and have crossover appeal to error coin specialists beyond just South African collectors. Authentication becomes critically important when dealing with potentially valuable specimens because the combination of high values and relatively common base coins creates opportunities for fraud. Some unscrupulous sellers might artificially tone coins to hide cleaning or damage. Others might deliberately create fake errors by altering genuine coins with tools or chemicals. The most sophisticated frauds involve coins that have been whizzed or mechanically polished to simulate uncirculated luster, fooling inexperienced buyers but failing professional authentication. Protecting yourself requires education, caution, and professional grading. Learn what genuine mint luster looks like compared to artificial surface treatments. Study authenticated examples of known errors and varieties. Use proper magnification and lighting when examining coins. And most importantly, insist on third-party certification from reputable grading services like NGC or PCGS for any coin where significant money is involved. The broader market for South African coins has evolved dramatically over recent decades, creating new opportunities for collectors and investors. During apartheid, many international collectors boycotted South African material on moral grounds, limiting demand and suppressing prices. After apartheid's end in 1994 and the transition to majority rule, attitudes shifted. South African coins gained recognition as important historical documents, regardless of the ideology they represented. The dramatic auction results for rare South African gold coins, including the record-breaking multi-million-dollar sales of rare pawns, have focused international attention on the entire spectrum of South African numismatics. This rising tide lifts all boats, with increased interest in the rare gold issues creating spillover demand for more affordable denominations like the 1,984 2-cent. Preservation and storage techniques matter enormously for maintaining the value of these coins, particularly for high-grade specimens where a single mishandled moment can destroy thousands of dollars in value. Never clean coins with abrasive materials, chemicals, or even water, as any cleaning destroys the original surface and eliminates numismatic value. Handle coins only by the edges, never touching the faces where fingerprints cause permanent damage through acidic residue. Store coins in archival quality holders made specifically for coin storage, avoiding PVC-containing materials that cause chemical reactions and green corrosion. Maintain stable environmental conditions with moderate humidity and temperature, avoiding extreme fluctuations that promote oxidation. For valuable specimens, consider professional grading and encapsulation, which provides both authentication and museum-quality protection in sealed, tamper-evident holders. The hunt for valuable 1,984 2-cent coins continues today with collectors, dealers, and treasure hunters all searching for overlooked rarities. Unlike rare gold coins that were always treasured and protected, bronze circulation coins were treated as disposable pocket change. They were spent carelessly, stored poorly, and thrown away when damaged. This means that high-grade survivors and error varieties are still being discovered in old collections, estate sales, bulk lots, and even occasionally in circulation finds, though the coins were demonetized decades ago. The knowledge you've gained from this video gives you a massive advantage over the casual observer. You now know about the missing designer initials that make 1,984 unique. You know about the die varieties and error types to hunt for. You understand the grading scale and why high grades command such premiums. You're equipped to recognize value where others see only old change. The competitive dynamics of modern coin collecting, particularly registry set collecting, drive demand for high-grade 1,984 2-cent coins beyond what pure rarity would suggest. Collectors compete to assemble the finest possible sets of South African coins, with each participant trying to achieve the highest average grade across all dates and denominations. This competition creates sustained demand for condition rarities, coins that might be relatively common in lower grades but genuinely rare in the highest grades. A collector who has assembled MS-67 examples of every other year in the 2-cent series will pay significant premiums to acquire an MS-67 1984 specimen and avoid having that date drag down their set's average grade. This competitive pressure supports prices and creates a deep, liquid market for high-quality material. Looking forward, the long-term prospects for 1984 South African 2-cent coins appear positive for high-grade specimens and error varieties. As time passes, attrition continues, reducing the surviving population through loss, damage, and neglect. Environmental factors cause even properly stored bronze coins to develop problems over decades. Collector interest in South African numismatics grows internationally as new generations discover these fascinating coins. The historical significance of apartheid-era artifacts becomes more recognized as temporal distance allows for more objective historical analysis. All of these factors suggest that today's prices for exceptional 1984 2-cent examples represent buying opportunities rather than market peaks. Conversely, common circulated examples will likely remain essentially worthless indefinitely because supply vastly exceeds demand for low-grade material. The story of the 1984 2-cent coin is ultimately a story about how ordinary objects can acquire extraordinary significance through the intersection of history, rarity, and human passion for collecting. These humble bronze coins were never meant to be treasures. They were meant to be spent and forgotten. But the combination of their unique characteristics, their survival from a crucial historical period, and the obsessive pursuit of perfection by collectors has transformed select examples into genuine valuables. The perfect 1984 2-cent coin, if it exists, would represent the pinnacle of this transformation. A coin that started life as mundane circulation currency and ended up as a museum-quality treasure worth thousands of dollars purely because of its exceptional preservation and the stories it embodies. Closing. The 1984 South African 2-cent coin, with its unique absence of engraver initials, stands as both a common circulation issue and a potential treasure depending entirely on condition, variety, and the knowledge of the person examining it. Millions were minted, yet high-grade examples number in the dozens or possibly single digits. Error varieties exist, waiting to be discovered by collectors who know what to look for. The historical significance of the apartheid era adds depth and meaning that transcends the coin's face value or metal content. Your mission now, if you choose to accept it, is to examine every 1984 2-cent coin you encounter with the trained eye of a numismatist rather than the casual glance of someone seeing only pocket change. Check the surfaces under magnification for mint luster. Look for error characteristics on the wildebeest's horns and hooves. Verify the absence of designer initials on the obverse. Assess the overall strike quality and preservation. You might be holding an ordinary worn coin worth nothing, or you might be holding one of the finest surviving examples worth hundreds or thousands of dollars to the right collector. If this video transformed your understanding of South African coins and revealed the hidden treasures lurking in denominations that most people consider worthless, show your appreciation by demolishing that like button. Your engagement helps the algorithm share this valuable knowledge with others who could benefit from learning what makes seemingly ordinary coins extraordinary. Subscribe to this channel immediately because we're continuously producing deep investigations into valuable coins, overlooked varieties, and numismatic opportunities from around the world that could literally change your financial situation if you make the right discovery. Enable notifications so you never miss a video that could lead you to a profitable find. And share this content widely with anyone who has old South African coins, anyone interested in African history, or anyone who appreciates the fascinating intersection of history, art, and value that makes coin collecting such an endlessly rewarding pursuit. The knowledge you've gained today about the 1,984 2-cent and its unique characteristics gives you an enormous advantage. Use it wisely. Examine every coin carefully. And remember that sometimes the most valuable things in the world are hiding in plain sight, dismissed by everyone except those who've taken the time to learn what they're really looking at. Thank you for investing your time in learning about this remarkable coin, and may your searches yield discoveries that exceed your wildest expectations. Now get out there and start hunting for that perfect 1,984 2-cent specimen that could make you a legend in the South African numismatic community.